Welcome to Friday 13th YouTube channel Metalheads. Today you're going to be watching an interview with Mark Briody from the band Jag Panzer. Now, Jag Panzer are a cult classic US power metal band who have been around for many years and first released their debut album called Ample Destruction back in 1984. The band have done some fantastic albums throughout their career and are about to release their new album on Atomic Fire Records called Hallowed. So please check it out, folks. It's a fantastic album. I'd like to thank Mark for doing this interview and also like to thank Barbara from Atomic Fire for setting up this interview. Stay safe, Metalheads. Please share on Facebook and social media sites and please leave comments. Thanks for watching, Metalheads. Be safe. Hey, Mark.
Yeah, you got the album cover behind you. That was
awesome. Yeah. How's things?
Good. Just busy doing press, which is good.
Yeah, it's good. It's been a long time since we last met.
It has.
I think
talk to you.
I think it's 2001. Whacking.
Oh, yeah, it's been a long time, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the last time we did an interview was for a Cast in Stone album.
Wow, yeah, that has been a while.
I was talking to Mark Briody from Jag Panzer. Mark, welcome to Friday 13th YouTube channel. This is the first time we've done an interview on YouTube, so how's your day been?
It's been good, lots of press, and thank you for having me. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time. We've known each other for like 30 years at least.
Yes.
Been a long time coming. So congratulations on your new album, The Hallowed. We're going to talk about that very shortly. So as a guitar player, a lot of people will be interested to find out who your influences, who's inspired you. So can you tell people out there that play guitar, who inspired you to play guitar yourself?
As a very young kid, Jimmy Page, and then Tony Iommi and Richie Blackmore and Wolf Hoffman.
Okay.
I think any metal guitarist should get something out of at least one of them. Probably listen to all of them. They're all great.
So what can you remember your first guitar, and do you actually own it still?
Oh, no, I haven't owned any. My first guitar was $15 from a pawn shop. It was a terrible guitar, but I played it all the time. And then my parents said, if you want a nice guitar, you have to take guitar lessons. So they enrolled me at Johnny Smith's studio. Johnny Smith was Bing Crosby's guitar player. He's considered a jazz great. So I went to my first lesson and they said, no, this guitar won't do it all. So my first real guitar was a Gibson SG, 1966. I bought it for $200.
That'll be worth some money now if you still own it, I guess.
Yeah, I looked it up. It'd be worth about $4,000.
You should have kept it. You should have kept it.
Yeah.
Man. How would that guitar sound in the studio if you had it now, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I like SGs, but I sold mine. It's just not really the sound I'm looking for. Man, it sounds wonderful when Angus Young plays it, but in my hands, not so much.
Right. So I mean, many years ago, I remember you telling me that you used to go to Iron Maiden concerts and have these fake backstage passes. Are you still trying it on now with Iron Maiden with the current tour?
I was hoping we were playing with Iron Maiden at Wacken, but they're playing the night before us. But yeah, the fake passes work. That was for the Peace of Mind tour.
I remember that very well. So are you going to be hanging around for the Wacken tour to see Iron Maiden? Or are you moving on after you've played?
No, they're playing the night before we're playing, and we have a gig that night.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, well, it's a really cool gig. It's called MTS. It's at a record store. So they actually move all the vinyl aside so the band can play. It's a great gig.
Is this in Germany?
Yeah.
Whereabouts is it?
I think it's about an hour from Wacken, I believe. I think it's west of Hamburg.
Right.
It's a cool place.
Because you're going to be playing Headbangers Open Air. That'll be in the same week, I guess.
Yeah, Headbangers Open Air is our first show. And then we got a few club dates, and then Wacken, and then some more club dates, and then Alcatraz.
Okay, then how many times have you played Headbangers Open Air?
This will be our first time.
Really? I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, we were booked there before, but Harry couldn't make it.
Yeah, I think last time I saw Harry live, he was playing with the Three Tremors, like just before lockdown, 2 weeks before lockdown, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
With Sean and the Ripper himself. That was a pretty good show, actually. So, Mark, I'm going to ask you about when you look back at all your previous albums, do you have a favorite and why? And do you have a least favorite and why?
I like, favorites probably Thane to the Throne. I like concept albums. I've always been a fan of them. So it's probably Thane to the Throne. Least favorite's Dissident Alliance. I know most people don't like it. The sound quality is terrible on it. It just didn't come out well. But I still had some fun even doing that one though.
Yeah, I remember that one. I've got the Rise and Sun copy with a red plastic sleeve. That's quite hard to get hold of, that embossed CD.
Oh, it is. That's what people tell me. It's very rare.
Well, I've got a gem there then, by the looks of things. So I mean, when I listen to your music, I mean, you first started out being power metal, but like you said, when you did the Thorn to the Throne album, that's when you started to introduce Celtic vibe into your music, and you kind of kept that Celtic guitar sound, haven't you, since the album was released? I've noticed on every album you've done since the album has had that Celtic vibe.
Yeah, that was a big influence from, my father wasn't, well, he sang a little bit when he was young, but he was mostly a music listener, and he played Celtic music constantly, like every day. So that's sort of what I grew up with.
So how did the album sell for you? Because that was a big step for you, wasn't it? It was a big stepping stone away from the classic power metal, US power metal. You moved on and did this Celtic concept album, Macbeth.
Yeah, I think it did okay. I mean, the way you usually judge how your record did is that your record company has you around for another one, which they did. So yeah, it must have did okay.
Okay, then I mean, look, I mean, you did it like how many more albums did you do after that? I think Casting Stone was probably the last time you did for Century Media Records. What happened there?
Right, and that ended our contract. So
right,
yeah, and they were moving in a different direction. They're more bigger selling, heavier bands, thrash bands and black metal, and so that really wasn't the best place for us. So we moved on to SPV.
Right then. So when you look back, you must be one of the most bootleg bands on the planet. Every like Reborn Classics, all these demos that you did, everything seems to be bootleg. You and Steel Profit seem to be the bands that are bootleg the most.
Yeah, I think everything I've ever played on is out is out somewhere.
Okay, then. So I mean, after the Casting Stone album, you didn't do anything for like nearly 8 years or so. What happened? What went wrong? You went really quiet, you guys.
Well, Chris left. Chris Broderick left after Casting the Stone, so we just and that's when we were doing lots of licensing from the Ample products, and there's actually quite a bit involved in doing that. So I was taking my time with that, and we were just trying to get a stable lineup. It's always easy to get a guitar player or somebody to do a tour with you, but we really were looking for somebody permanent that's going to do all the photo shoots and every tour and play on the albums. And we want somebody we could get along with, and someone that like joins the family. So that took a while.
Yeah, because you got Joey came back in the band, didn't he, for a short spell, and now he's left the band again. What happened there? I mean, I think he was involved with Leatherwolf one. Is he involved with Leatherwolf at one point?
Well, he went from us to Graham Bonnet, and he was always a huge Graham Bonnet fan. In fact, the very first time he jammed with us in California, we were looking for another guitar player, and he came up, and he was brilliant. And he was talking about the day before he saw Graham Bonnet and Alcatraz rehearse with Yngwie. And we were going, oh my God. And he kept going on about how he loves Graham Bonnet. And then he asked if he could use our phone, and he picks up the phone and he makes a call, and he said, hey, Graham, can you feed my cat? And we thought, oh my God, Graham Bonnet's feeding his cat. No, it was his grandmother. They love Graham Bonnet. So when he had a chance to go to Graham Bonnet, I knew we wanted to do it. And we looked at schedules, and he just couldn't do both bands at once. Just not possible.
Yeah. So how do you see your music? Would you still say you're a cult classic US power metal band, or do you think you've kind of moved into a different category? Because some people would say you were power metal, some people would say you're speed metal.
I always just call us traditional metal. I think we have the aspects of traditional metal, because what's important, in my opinion, with traditional metal is, do you have a vocalist that can really sing, that can do like what Rob Halford does? And and we're twin guitar, and there's lots of harmony. So other people may disagree, but I always like to call us traditional metal.
So you've got the Iron Maiden twin guitars, you've got the Saxon and the Judas Priest kind of vibe,
yeah.
You? Pretty much.
And early Def Leppard as well, which was a big influence.
Oh yeah. So what sort of albums from Def Leppard inspired you? High and Dry, Panama?
Oh, more like On Through the Night, like songs like Wasted.
Okay.
Hello America.
Have you ever
Yeah,
thought of
yeah.
like
Wait,
playing it? Any thought of playing any of those songs like as a cover?
I usually sometimes I play Wasted when we're line checking before shows, and people always recognize it. Yeah, that individual song was a big influence on me. I mean, I thought that was a brilliant song.
So okay, then. So after the Casting Stone album, you went to Steamhammer Records and released Scourge from the Night. How successful was that album for you, and how did you team up with SPV?
Um, yeah, I had known SPV from a few people earlier that had worked with them, and they said they were a good label. And I knew Ollie from SPV was very involved in the underground, so I thought that would be a good fit with us. It was only a 2 album deal, so we ended up doing both. And I never know the numbers of what we sell because it really doesn't interest me. But they kept us on for the second record, so and they did offer us a follow up contract, but we wanted to move on to Atomic Fire.
Okay, then. So besides Atomic Fire Records, what other labels did you approach for the new album?
Um, there were several. I think we approached 10, and 9 made either an offer or they said we would make an offer, but we know we can't make an offer to match some of those bigger labels. So we had an offer from everybody we wanted an offer before. And probably shouldn't say names. We really were pushing for Atomic Fire.
Well, that's interesting because I was just looking at you've got like John Tetley's actually played on the album, but he doesn't actually record play with you live. Is that correct? You've got Avic on bass guitar.
Correct. Yeah. John's finally getting he's getting knee and ankle surgery here, I think next week.
Oh, send him our regards.
Yeah, so we hope he can start playing live with us next year. Yeah, he's a great bass player, and I've known John since I was 6 years old, and a wonderful player. But he just couldn't stand for God. I think he was doing maybe 6 or 7 minutes was the longest he could do. But he'll be good after the surgery.
So Averick, yeah, what band was he in before helping you guys out? Because then he just touring with you, doesn't he? I believe.
Yeah, Eric Avina was playing bass for Benedictum with Veronica.
Oh yeah, from San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and what about Ken? Where did you find Ken? Because he's helping you out on guitar, isn't he? Is he actually recording in the studio with you?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's done tours for the last 5 years, and he did the guitar parts on the Hallowed and officially joined the band. We found him. I didn't find him. Eric recommended him because Eric had done a bunch of gigs with him in other bands and said this guy's really good, named Ken Rodarte. So Rickard went and saw him, and Rickard thought he was a very good player, but more importantly, someone that likes the same kind of music as us and can get along with us. So yeah, he fits in really well.
So where does he live? Because I guess Averick's obviously in San Diego. Are you all still based in Colorado area?
No, Eric's actually in Phoenix, and our drummer Rickard's in Phoenix, and Ken's in Phoenix as well. So I actually fly down to Phoenix occasionally for rehearsal, and Harry's in Greece, and I'm the only one in Colorado. Well, John Tetley's about 2 hours away from me in Colorado.
Oh, that's interesting. So you must. How does it work for rehearsals then? Where do you actually? Is it just you go to Arizona or how does it work?
Yeah, we usually just rehearse, alone, or sometimes the four of us. I'll fly down to Phoenix and we'll rehearse, and then before a tour, we'll do what we call a dry rehearsal. It's just little tiny practice amps, and Rickard's pounding on a phone book, and you can actually get a lot done that way because you can hear every mistake.
Wow, interesting. I mean, I've noticed in the past you guys have only done one DVD release, but it wasn't actually live. I think it was a couple of songs and a couple of promotion videos. Is there any talk about you doing a live DVD, or do you think they're not necessary these days?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do one because I've always wanted to do one. There's not really much call for it anymore, and they're actually hard to do because you've got to get cooperation from the promoter to set up another set of mics in there. So, and you've got to get somebody to film it, and then you got to get a label interested in releasing it. We haven't been able to put all those together. We've been trying for 10 years.
Wow. So, I mean, as we're going to talk about the Hallowed album, I believe this was something to do with a comic I read, something to do with a Jag Panzer comic. Is that correct?
Well, we did the comic. We actually finished them both at the same time, but Atomic Fire needed 6 months to do the release, to do the manufacturing and the promotional lead up. So all that makes sense. But the comic was already done. So we decided, let's just release the comic. So to everyone else, the comic book came out earlier. You know, to us in the band, they came out at the same time, but we didn't intend to do a comic. There was, we had a band chat room online. It was really busy, and everybody kept asking for information about the story. Hey, Harry, what's going on here? What's going on here? So we decided if we're interested in it, maybe other people are. So I looked into pricing a comic, and it was crazy expensive. I mean, it was like crazy, crazy expensive. But I figured I'm always good at, you know, knowing what we can sell. And so I thought we could do 600 comics, and then we could break even. And I think we sold 515 of them before the album came out. So
that's good, because I mean, the other bands have done comics like Cannibal Corpse and Ice
yeah.
Death. And like, obviously, Kiss started it back in the 70s,
Yeah.
didn't
Oh,
they?
yeah, they were the first. Yeah, that I remember. Well, Beatles might have been first, but
do you think you'll do another comic, or is that it now? You've just thought, right, this is it, one off, no more?
yeah, this is one off. I don't want to be a comic salesman, and I don't ever. I mean, I have respect for Gene Simmons, but I don't want to be that puts our name on every product. And one comic's good enough to work for this album.
Okay, then. So we're going to talk about the new album, The Hallowed. I'm going to review it very shortly. I found this album a little bit more difficult to get into than previous Jag Panzer albums. Do you kind of agree with me? It's more of an in-depth album where you've got to listen to it more than the previous albums?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, because we've had this discussion in the band, and different band members have completely different experiences. Yeah, it's hard for me to say. I mean, I got into it immediately, but I'm the one that wrote everything, so it's hard to say. But yeah, some of our stuff does require, you know, additional listenings to pick up on the melodies, and I can tell that when people come out to shows with albums we did 15 years ago, and then they said, I love all these songs, but these people didn't pick up on the songs when the album came out. I mean, that always happens to us. I mean, Ample Destruction didn't even get noticed for 4 years after it came out.
Right, yeah.
But just keep listening to it. Everything will sink in.
I'm not going to review it until I've given it a few good listens. I want to be fair with you guys, and
okay,
because most of these albums, like the most difficult albums, end up being probably one of the best albums.
Oh, right, I agree. Like she's not metal, but I love Kate Bush, and it takes me 10 listens to even get into what she's doing. Because first time I'll hear an album, I'm like, nope. And I'll listen to it again. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here, and then eventually it will become one of my favorite albums ever.
I did that with Psychotic Waltz's first album, Social Grace. I couldn't stand the band, and now they're one of my favorite bands of all time. It's just like, whoa.
Oh yeah,
that's just
that's a great example with Psychotic Waltz, because it just doesn't click on the first listen, but then the more and more you listen to it,
you know, it's typical bong music. So the album, The Hallowed, who came up with the title? Did he have any other titles for this album, Mark?
Yeah, we were trying to think of something a little different. So it's grammatically incorrect, because the word hallowed means sacred, and it's an adjective, like hallowed land or hallowed ground. So we thought, well, let's just turn it into a noun, meaning the sacred place. So in the story, it's the place of warmth and food and safety that these people are searching for, and they don't even know if it's a myth or if it's real.
Okay, did you have any other titles for this album? Did you think of anything else?
I can't think of any other ones. We probably did. We probably had about 10 of them. I get that stuff out of my mind. And
okay, I'm looking at the cover now, and it reminds me of another band on their AFM records called Organ Morden. Have you seen some of their artwork? It's very similar to this, and I'm wondering if Dustin's done some of their work as well.
Oh, I don't know if he has. Yeah, that's a good band. They do that Fight for What We Believe in song, or I'm getting the title slightly wrong. It's a great song.
But when I look at some of their artwork, it looks very similar to the one you've done. It's almost like they're in the same parallels, same world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting cover. I mean, how long did it take to do this artwork for this album?
Doosan spent about 3 months on it, and we wanted just a couple characters from the story on the cover. That guy's not the main character in the story, and he's certainly not the hero.
Oh, interesting. Okay, you have to tell me what this concept is then. I know Travis Smith's been involved with the artwork as well, hasn't he? He's done some of your stuff in the past.
Yeah, he did the layout. So we just gave him everything, a bunch of art and photos, and he put it all together. I mean, he's just a great artist at everything. And I'm thankful he had the time to do this for us. So the finished product looks wonderful, thanks to Travis.
So, what is the concept then? You said about good guys, bad guys. I mean, are you allowed to enlighten me, or is it something you're going to
Oh,
have to?
sure. No, it's a frozen post-apocalyptic world, and there's a group of people, and they've trained animals to help them, and they're looking for this place called the Hallowed. So they have a whole adventure, and there's monsters and just crazy things. It's like a classic adventure story. But the album is written from the viewpoint of the animals, but the comic is written from the viewpoint of the people. So you see the same things happen in the story, but there's very different viewpoints.
No, interesting because the album was recorded in several places. You got Ken Mary did some of the drums and bass, and
Yeah.
then you was recorded some places in Phoenix, and then Jim
Yeah.
Morris. Jim Morris was he involved with the mixing?
Yeah. Yeah. Jim Mix. We just wanted to record it where we could get the best out of each person. And Ken Mary's got a huge drum room, and Ken's great at recording drums. So we did drums and bass with Ken Mary. There's a studio in what is the name? The name is escaping me where we did lead guitar, but it's a studio run by a guy named Casey Weaver, and he's just got walls and walls of classic tube guitar heads. So
Is it steampunk?
Steampunk, right? Yeah, okay. I just always want to make sure I don't confuse it with Sonic Fish, which is Ken Mary's. So yeah, it's steampunk, and it's just the place is built for lead guitar.
Have you worked with these people before? I know you've worked with Jim and Tom Morris before. I know
just Jim.
Just Jim.
Yeah.
So is Florida somewhere where you feel comfortable recording, mixing albums and mastering?
Yeah, and Jim I guess it's been 2 years or maybe a year since he opened More Sound version 3, and Jim just knows he knows what we like, and we get along with Jim, and he's a great guy, and we wanted an old school analog mix with a big console, no mixing in the computer for this one, and he was able to do it.
So how long did it take to record this album? I guess you wrote all the music and Harry did all the vocals, lyrics.
Yeah, it took about 7 months to write and about 5 weeks to record.
Right. So what sort of press have you been getting for this new album? How what's the relationship with Atomic Fire Records since you signed with them? Everything going great?
Oh yeah, they've been fantastic. I mean, I wanted to sign with them. We did the tour with Hammerfall on their first album many years, 20-some years ago, and their promotional team was wonderful. I mean, they're just great.
That would have been Dynamo, wasn't it? Dynamo '97, I think, because I was at the Dynamo Festival.
Oh, okay.
We
didn't do that festival, but it was around that time period.
Yeah.
So they were on Nuclear Blast, and their promotional team was outstanding. So when we're ready to shop the Hallowed, we started looking around, and we noticed a lot of those names we remember are on Atomic Fire now. So Atomic Fire was our top label, and yeah, they've been doing a great job. I mean, outstanding.
Wow. So we're talking about the songs, and which songs from the new album stand out for you, and why? Which ones are your favorites?
Well, I really like a song called Dark Descent, which was not one of the singles. It's a very complicated song, but you're not going to hear it as complicated. It sounds like a very frantic metal track, but we're actually doing some complicated things where we're dropping eighth notes and adding eighth notes to change the feel. The verses are very frantic sounding, and then it sort of calms down during the choruses, but there are no tempo changes. And that fooled some excellent musicians I know, because they turned around and looked at me and said, "That's an interesting tempo change." And I said, "There is no tempo change." And one guy went and worked on the song for a couple hours. He's a brilliant musician. And he said, "Oh my God, you're dropping eighth notes instead of changing the tempo. That's insane." So, but it's going to sound like a regular metal song to you. I mean, it's very subtle, very subtly complex. And I always like the last songs on the album, the big epic songs.
The last rites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed when you said about all these time changes, is it one of these albums where if you put your headphones on, you can listen to more things in detail than what you could for your speakers?
Absolutely.
So it's definitely an album that you need to listen to with headphones on first, and then play it for your speakers. Is that what you think?
Yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Okay, brilliant. So the album's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks' time. I mean, you said you're touring soon. Are you doing a full tour, and will you be doing the UK? Because you've not played the UK, have you?
No, we played London at the Underworld in Camden. So
Yeah,
that was
sorry, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, who played with that?
yeah.
Who played that gig with you?
I don't know. That's one of those shows where we're so busy and we just get there like 10 minutes before we play.
Yeah,
So we were headlining it, but I'm not sure who else. I really should know. That's not good of me, but it was so hectic in London.
it's a shame you don't play in the north of England. That's where I live. It just takes so long for me to get to London for a show. It's just like, I just wish you guys had come up north like everybody else, instead of just one show in England and that's it.
Yeah, it's really just a matter of us being asked. That time we played in London was the first time we've ever been asked to play in the UK. Well, we got asked about Bloodstock once, and we said we'd do it, but then they didn't book us.
Crazy.
Their festival, they can book whoever they want, but they did ask if we were interested, and yeah, of course. Yeah, we'd love to get back to England, but that's the first time we've been asked. But this festival this tour is 3 different festivals: Headbangers Open Air, Wacken, and Alcatraz, and then a bunch of club shows in between.
So who's supporting you on the club shows?
But we're doing one show with Riot Act, which is going to be really cool because I'm a huge Riot fan. I don't know who's support on the other shows. I haven't seen, nobody's given me the information yet.
So who's Riot? I know there's Riot 5. Who's Riot Act? Is it some old band members of Riot?
Yeah, it's Rick Ventura, one of their old guitar players from Riot. So one of the guys, he's on Narita, and I think he's on Fire Down Under as well.
Oh, interesting. So for the people out there that don't know what guitar makes you play, do you play Dean guitars now?
No, Dean dropped me 10 years ago without notice. And then they ignored all my phone calls and emails, which was quite odd. Yeah, I was doing an interview and I was telling somebody how great Dean's were, and he said, well, I'm on Dean's website, you're not on there. And I thought, that's a mistake. And I looked and I was removed from their site. And so I thought, this is a mistake. So I called up my rep and he didn't return my call. And I wrote an email and I called a few other people, never heard any reason or ever heard back. So I switched to ESPs the next day.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but at least you've got another endorsement, so that's good. How do you find these guitars, these new ones, compared to Dean?
What was the question again?
How do you find these new guitars compared to Dean that you're playing now? Is it ESP, did you say?
Yeah, I'm playing the EC1000s. It's, a single cut shape like a Les Paul. They're great guitars. I've been touring with them for 10 years now with no issues.
Right. Okay, then. Well, Mark, I'd like to thank you for doing this interview. I wish you all the best. Please say hello to the guys for me, and I hope I can see you at Headbangers Open Air. If not, then hopefully see you in the future somewhere.
Okay, it was good talking to you, Jason.
Let's not make it too long this time, not another 20 years.
Yeah.
So do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Oh, well, thank you for the support always. I mean, if people are watching in your area, we've never played there, so that's fantastic that people would listen to a band that's never been there, and we really appreciate that.
Mark, thank you for a lovely interview. Keep in touch, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll send you the link and the album review when it's ready to go.
Okay, sounds good.
Cheers, Mark.
Okay,
thanks,
bye.
mate. Take care. Thank you.